Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Warehouse 51 is another auction game. Auction games that kind of come to mind that are cream of the crop would be Vault Wars, Modern Art, or a couple really good ones. Warehouse 51 is an excellent auction game. All you're doing in this game is auctioning. And I think there's a lot of interesting auctions. So you have the type that goes around the table, and whoever bids the highest gets it. There's also the closed fist, so everybody reveals. Highest bid gets it. That kind of shakes things up. There are certain relics that you're going after. Some that will score more points, some that will be no points. And you're going to be kind of strategizing that as you go through the game. This is a really fun, good auction game. I'm surprised that nobody talks about this one, and I think that it is fairly high. Now, for my personal taste, I find that I like auction games that have auction as a part of the game. Think of Power Grid, more than just the game itself. At some point, you have to learn the economy of the game, and I think that's a very strong suit. So I don't need a whole lot of these that are kind of auctions just it. I feel like there are so many auction games because there are so many games that include auctioning off, right? So, and I feel like Modern Art does it really well, although Modern Art kind of has a learning curve to me because it has so many different types of auctions. I also like Vault Wars kind of bit, and I like Warehouse 51 quite a bit, to be honest. And originally this was going to be a keeper for me. Then I just started looking at the huge amount of auction games that they already have, and where does this fit into that scale? You know, if it's probably not a top 20, 25, 30 auction games, it just has to go for me because I have so many games. I need to crunch this thing down, which is the point of doing these reviews. So Warehouse 51 for me will be a purge, but it's also one that I highly recommend. Very tight auctioning. You're going to have a lot of different factors that are kind of going into it, and people will have different values set on different items, which is going to be very interesting. And some will give you powers and things that you can do. Very interesting game. I wouldn't say it's a gateway game, although it can be played as such. I would say this is probably like a 1.25, you know. Not quite in the medium, but not quite a gateway game either, although it definitely can be played as such. I think people will kind of pick it up. Gamers will be able to easily play this. I think this could be a really fun game to put on the table, and everybody kind of get their palate going with this type of game, and it's excellent. So for me, it's one of those weird ones where I give it really high praise, even though I will be purging it. Here's Warehouse 51. You can see it's a little box. It's very portable and has an interesting artwork on it of like a steel door. Who doesn't want to play a board game about a steel door? Going to get a very skinny rulebook, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. Get some advertisements. You're going to get these player boards, which are nice, cardboard, have different characters on them, but otherwise everything else is exactly the same. But it does give you a breakdown of the cards that are in the game, etc., and how many points. So everything you need to know is right on here, with different artwork just for reasons. When you open it up, you're going to get a number of these. This will be the currency in the game that you'll be bidding with. And then you're going to get a bunch of cards with artwork on it and kind of what it is. None of this matters except for these little symbols that are on it. And sometimes you'll have a little power down here at the bottom. These cards are okay. They're not the most durable in the world. They're fine. Probably for as much as you'll play this, it'll be great. They have this gloss finish on them, which is really good. They just feel a little thin. Otherwise, components are pretty good. Not a whole lot to complain about, although I have been a little bit nitpicky with the cards. Here's the rulebook. You're going to get the picture of the front of the box. You're going to have the goal of the game, the components listed, but no pictures. Boo! Set up with a picture, which is always helpful, and how a game turn will go. It'll have some pictures here, explain a little bit about counterfeits and how scoring works, and little things that you can add to the game, the blessings and the curses, the auction, which is the majority of what you're going to be doing in this game, and then the end of game and how to score it and complete sets. And then you're going to have like a little bit here on the majority on the back. The rulebook is fine. I found the game very easy. Probably could digest this in 10 to 20 minutes and you could be up and running. Literally, if you played any kind of auction games, you could probably read this at the table while you guys are setting up and go ahead and play. So to set up the game, you're going to put the relics all in the 4 colors, red, blue, yellow, green. Put $20 here. You have your pawnbroker tiles and your certificate of authenticity. Then you'll take the counterfeit cards and you'll shuffle them. And you'll put them in between each of the players. So if there's a player sitting here, a counterfeit will here and here. If there's a third player there, you put one between them. And you'd put one between them. So basically you have a counterfeit card in between each of the players. So here would be one player
2-player, 3-player, 4-player, this counterfeit card would be in them. So each player will be able to look at 2 of these cards, one to their left and one to the right, and they'll know 2 of the relics that are not good. Each player will have $10 to start the game out with, and that will be all the money they'll have to start the game. Now, this handy-dandy player aid will tell you that the blue cards have 2 3s, 3 2s, and 3 1s, where the red deck only has 1 3, 2 2s, and 1 1, and so forth. And down here's the scoring. If you end up with the most blues, you get 8 points. If you end up with the second most blues, you get 6 points, etc. $5 is 1, and for a set of each of 1 is an additional $5. So that tells you everything that you need to know to play the game. In order to play the game, the first player will simply turn over one of these relics, and you will have an auction for it. In this case, you will have an ongoing auction. So the first player might say $1, $2, $3, $4, and it keeps going around until somebody wins it. Now, when you win this, you're going to have 2 points towards the yellow. Remember, you want to have the most of that color. And you score 1 extra point at the end of the game for having Aladdin's lamp. So that would go to him. Then he can choose any color. You would flip it over and have the same auction. This one gives you a permanent ability, though. This one says you can pawn a card to pawnbroker if you have $10 or less instead of 5 or less. Then the next player can choose a card, in this case, the permanent power. You can pawn a card to pawnbroker if you have 10 ingots or less instead of 5. So what that means, at any point, you can pawn a card off and put a pawn marker on it, which means unless you pay to get it off, you will not count towards the end of the game scoring. So in that case, it'll give you extra money that you wouldn't otherwise have, but you have to pay double to get that off. This card will make it cheaper to do so. Now, if somebody picked a card such as this, that has this symbol on it, then you would do a fist closed bet. So you would take your money, you would place it in here unbeknownst to everybody else, put your fist down, whoever has the most wins that card. If it's a tie, then nobody wins it. Whatever you bet, anytime that you pay, it always goes, if I'm sitting here, will always go to the player on your left. They would get the money. And that's how the currency will change. If this person won, it would go to his left, their left, their left, their left. So you always want the person next to you winning bids because the money will go to you. Continue auctioning off cards so all 4 of these decks are empty. You find out who has the highest score, and whoever has the highest score wins the game.
So who should buy this game? Let's kind of direct this in. So you're going to like auctioning games. And the auction is going to be the game. That's what you're doing in this game over and over and over and over again. And you're going to have to like that. It's 2 different types of auctions in it. So it kind of mixes things up a little bit. I don't feel like you could play this with kids. I think it's going to be for gamers, maybe light gamers who are looking for an auction type game. I think a lot of people are going to be drawn to modern art. I think a lot of people... And then the geekier side of it would be Vault Wars. This is kind of somewhere in the middle of that. But Warehouse 51 is a very, very strong addition. And if you like auctions and you like auctioning games at all, this is kind of a small box, cheaper one, maybe a budget-priced one. You know, it doesn't have excellent components, you know, up the gazoo, with Kickstarter type stuff. It's just a solid action game that gives you the auctioning that you're looking for. So for that, I give it a hearty recommendation, even though I'm purging it. And I hope if you like these type of games, you'll give this one a try, because I feel like it's fell through the cracks.
Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel, lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing.